How goes the family? How goes it? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great and exceptional day. This is an interesting subject matter that has become a more of a growing thing nowadays in 2021 because at the end of the day, um, we're in a weird but yet interesting paradigm. Okay, because you still have we're in a paradigm where you have people who don't want to go back to work because they're making more money on unemployment than they were at their job. You have a paradigm where even a lot of from a construction standpoint, a real estate standpoint, there's a labor shortage because there's a lot of people like, well, hey, if you can't pay me X amount of dollars, I'm not going to work for you. I'll just stay on unemployment. Or I'll just do something different. So I never even thought I'd see the day where there's a labor shortage in the United States of America. Um, to be honest with you, I just never thought I would see that. I mean, I thought that was the whole point of immigration, to allow people to be able to come over, have a lot of labor jobs and whatnot, and tech jobs and all other aspects and things of that nature. But it's all interesting all at the same time. But however, you have a paradigm of there's this one aspect that the media is not really talking about, and that aspect is actually people not actually wanting to go back to work because the idea of them having a job, to be in lamest terms, it sucks. They don't want to have a job anymore. The pandemic has taught them, hey, um, I'm responsible for me and what happens to me and what happens to my family and things of that nature. Therefore, I'm the person that needs to be able to ensure my future for not only myself, but for my family all at the same time. I'm the responsible one. So therefore, I'm not going to put all my eggs in one basket when it comes to having a job. A lot of this talk has been talked about on various different levels, but now we had that in the beginning of the pandemic, I told you so thing happening. A lot of people were like, well, we told you to start investing your money. We told you to start saving your money. We told you to start making your money passively. We told you to get a side hustle. We told you, we told you, we told you. For those that did not adhere to that, that weren't even thinking on that level, there was a we told you so time frame, and that's just keeping it real at the end of the day. It's unfortunate, but it's true. But now people that it's been over a year and a lot of people had that taste of freedom. And a lot of people, even the smart ones, in my personal opinion, were the ones that put their stimulus checks and put their child's tax credits and things of that nature. Whether they were working or not working, they put it into investments. They started a business. So a lot of them are like, I don't want to go back to the regular 9 to 5. The idea of even having a regular 9 to 5 is becoming something that people, especially I can just imagine people coming out of high school and college, it's something that they're appalled to even think of that nature, to be able to have to sit in the office for more than actual sit in the office for actually more than 5 to 8 hours a day and whatnot. The idea of working from home is just it is the new norm. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Don't need to sugarcoat it. And I've had that discussion on various levels, but but one thing is there's a lot of people that are actually quitting their jobs. Now, forget about the aspect of the people that are actually unemployed and would like to go back to work, because I know that there are still a significant amount of people that would like that. Everybody wants to stay at home. However, despite a lot of economic devastation that has been, caused by the pandemic, you have millions of Americans that are leaving their jobs. They're leaving for jobs for two other aspects, because a lot of people even took that extra time while they were at home to develop different skill sets. So that's what I said. Not everybody's creating a business. I'm not going to be that guy and say, yeah, everyone's creating a business. No, but people got smarter. My mindset is this: at the end of the day, when you have more time on your hands, you had either two choices. Either you could do something valuable with it, or you could just screw off with it. And I mean, that's why a lot of people come out of the military much smarter. People come out of prison much smarter. Even people come out of college much smarter, very more smarter and whatnot, because they had a little bit more time on their hands, especially if they were in a position where if they had a job that was a little bit more laid back and they had extra time on their hands to actually get work done and get things done in the aspect that they weren't consistently being micromanaged. A great example, I remember when I used to work as a security guard part-time, and there was I was working 3 jobs at this time. I was working a regular job as office manager and then working 2 part-time security gigs. But I remember on the weekend, the people that were working on the security jobs, they would actually, and I can say this now because this is like over 10 years ago. They were actually working, doing their homework and whatnot, and studying while they were on the job as security, because we're sitting in a commercial building where nothing's going on. The building's got physical security locks on it, so you had to have a key just to enter the building. And this is on the weekends where 95 to 99% of the people aren't even in the building working. And when an issue comes up, you can just stop what you're doing and take care of it, things of that nature. So a lot of those people utilize their time on their job. They were making money, plus they were doing their homework in order for them to basically pass their classes and things of that nature. And they were able to make, and like I said, in my personal opinion, they were making money moves in that sense, because they were making money, plus they were utilizing that time to learn something different and utilize that time to go to school. So it was like it was a win-win situation. They were like me; they were working 2 to 3 jobs at the same time. So they made the best of their idle time, because we had a lot of idle time. Me myself, I was taking classes too, and I was doing a lot of reading. Matter of fact, during that idle time, I developed my love for reading more. So if we're going to be real about it, but that's neither here or there. But the moral of the story is, there's people that are going to just screw around and do whatever they want to do when they have a little bit more time on their hand. And then there's actually people that are going to be productive. That's what I like to call productive. And it's just interesting, how you have millions of people that are just saying, well, you know what, I don't want this job, or I just don't want a job, period. And I want to, I utilize the time I had to actually put it into my family. And I utilize that time to grow a business, to grow a side hustle, to grow, to build networks and build relationships and things of that nature. So there's so many people out there that were actually very productive, during this time frame. And like I said, me personally, I found it to be very interesting. And then, it really gets deep, way deeper, because given the fact that, more U.S. workers are quitting their jobs, and at any time in the last last 2 decades, as of April, the share of U.S. workers leaving the jobs was actually at 2.7%, according to the United States Labor Department, a jump from 1.6% a year earlier, at its highest level since the last time this poll was actually done and conducted. So very interesting times that we're living in. But I will say this, to be completely honest with you, a lot of people are just like, to be honest, a lot of people are just like, you know what? It's just not, this is not me. This isn't what I want to be. This isn't how I want to be. And I want to be able to have more options at the end of the day. And that's another thing that certain companies listen to and certain companies are not listening to, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are like, look, I want my freedom to be able to live where I want to live, not just be able to do what I want to do, but I want the freedom to live where I want to live, make more money, and have more flexibility all at the same time. And unfortunately, a lot of companies are still stuck in the Stone Ages. A lot of governmental agencies are still stuck in the Stone Ages, to where they want to keep their people on lockdown, in a sense, to where they want people to be old fashioned and just show up like they did before the pandemic. And to me, that's very interesting. And that's very interesting for one specific reason, because it's kind of like, I look at it like, in the sense where it's like, does the old guard need to be removed, or does the old guard need to retire, because it's not clicking in their mind that, this is how the way things are going to be done for a long, long time. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, when is it really truly going to click in the mind of a lot of people that's just like, this is your workforce we're talking about. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. Let's truly be realistic about this at the end of the day. Because another thing to keep in mind is that, a lot of human resource executives and labor experts foresee a wave of resignations in the coming months and the coming years. Not just the coming months, but actually the coming years. They see a wave of resignations coming because of people either wanting to get higher paychecks, or or not even just the company, but the organization, whether it's state government, federal government, local government, corporate America, whatever have you, small business, whatever. If they're not going to be flexible in regards to saying, hey, we will allow you to telework. We will allow you to, we don't care where you live at, as long as the job gets done. It's like in a sense that people are like, hey, I want to be treated in a sense like an outsourced worker, because you have a lot of outsourced workers who do customer service. They could be in the Philippines, they could be in Africa, they could be in China, anywhere. A lot of Americans want that convenience of being able to just work from home. That's just the idea of, like I said, that's just going to be considered old to these kids that are coming out of college right now. You want me to work in an office? There's even certain jobs where you're not even allowed to have your cell phone with you. And I know, trying to talk to a kid coming out of high school and college now, trying to tell them, hey, you can't have your cell phone with you while you're at your desk. And they're going to be like, yeah, I got all this student loan debt and I worked very hard to get these skill sets and whatnot. So I'm going to find a job where I can keep this. That's just keeping it real. That's just keeping it real. Unless they're in a situation where they're forced to do that. But if you have freedom of choice, then you're going to choose the latter. That's just my personal opinion. But I digress. Another reason why I'm really getting into this is because of this. Because this is actually done by the article. You have a lot of managers. Now let's get into the managers. You have a lot of frustrated managers out here that are very upset that they do not have the opportunity to basically have that face-to-face contact with their employees. Now, in the beginning of the pandemic, I think I can understand that. But since it's been over a year now, I'm going to have to say, what is the issue? Okay, because to stay competitive, many companies have become more flexible when it comes to their employees and where they can work. And like I said, according to the CNN article, the direct managers and supervisors who really set the tone on remote work for their teams, and not everyone is crazy about it. And it's like I said, I can understand that there's always two sides to every story. The article stated, while some managers are fine with their direct reports working remotely, others would prefer more on remote one. In a recent client survey by workplace consulting firm Gartner, more than 40% of managers said they've been feeling higher levels of stress and were logging more hours than before the pandemic. Now, so this is my take on that situation. Because every team is different, especially in what you do and what your mission calls for. But let's just, in my experience in this aspect, if you can't utilize technology in order for you to manage your people and have, when it comes to meetings, ensuring that everybody's say, hypothetically speaking, if you could manage a team of 10 to 15 people and whatnot, and you can't spread out the meetings so that you can have your Zoom meetings or whatever software, Microsoft Teams, whatever you're utilizing in order for you to be able to talk to your team on a regular basis, utilize text messaging, utilize emails, just if you're going to go old school, FaceTime with your people. I mean, there's not that big of a difference between FaceTiming somebody and actually having them face to face. My mindset is, if you have to continuously micromanage your team to get the job done, then my personal opinion, that means you got the wrong team. Because in a sense, a manager is a person that's supposed to guide you in the right direction and protect you when the time is right. However, there's certain managers that treat their employees like children. Therefore, they're a glorified babysitter. That's just what it is. Okay. Now, with that being said, if you are a manager and you are in a situation where you're a glorified babysitter, to me, you're either in the wrong job or you got the wrong people on your team. It's one or the other. And I know in corporate America, and especially in most states, most states are right to work states nowadays. So getting rid of people usually isn't that hard of a thing, especially if you're working in a corporate environment. I can understand that the stress levels are hard. However, I will say that by now it's been over a year. In the beginning, I could get it. Like I said, we all had to go through an adjustment from a business standpoint, from a job standpoint. There was all major adjustments that had to be taken into consideration. However, with that being said, now with it being over a year, that means you should have developed some sort of a system to ensure that you can ensure that you are communicating with your people are communicating with you. Technology has made things a lot easier, and I know for some people it's made things harder because not everybody is technically inclined as most people are nowadays. Because you still have some people that are older generation, and when it boils down to technology, we all learn something new every single day. So that's why I said I'm calling nonsense on the fact that it's been, if you haven't figured it out in this amount of time, because this article was actually published yesterday. So my mindset in 2021, in the middle of 2021, if you haven't figured out how to manage your people remotely, I don't know what to say to you. That means 2022 is going to be even harder for you, because especially in corporate America, it's going to be more intensified, because the thing is, corporations compete to get people to want to work for them, just like government agencies do the same specific thing. So the first thing people coming out of college and the military, your intellectually elite people, your people with skill sets, are going to say, hey, do you have telework? Yes or no? And they're going to go with the people that's, even if they don't even make the same amount of money, they're like, hey, it's not all about the money, it's about quality of life. So if the management is not for teleworking, then they're going to be like, well, I'm going to find a company or an organization that is. It's really that simple. Okay. It's really that simple. Like I said, I can understand the frustrations in the beginning. We're basically a year and a half into this thing. So that's all I can say. And then there's a flip side to it. The article states, bring it on. Robert Allenby is the managing partner of a mid-sized law firm in San Diego, California, and his firm plans to let most staff, not just the lawyers, work from home a couple of days a week or more if they don't have to be in the office for the trial preparation or other all hands on deck efforts. And I applaud that. I applaud that, because, and especially in a place like that, a very expensive city like San Diego, this means your workforce is saving money on wear and tear on the vehicle. They're saving money on not having to get as much maintenance done on the vehicle. And then two, they're saving money on not paying tolls and not paying for gas. Especially, I don't care where you live at in the United States, gas prices have gone up. Everything has gone up. Okay. Inflation has smacked us all around. So let's just be realistic about that. All right. But I digress. Article also states, we've gone through the looking glass. So many of the fears people had about letting employees work from home have proven not to be worthwhile, Allenby stated, we have not lost productivity or profitability. More importantly, we have gained and improved morale. That's the main reason why I'm talking about this article, because morale in a lot of organizations has gone up because more people don't have to rush. The whole thrill of the nonsense of the rat race has been cut in half or just abolished on all levels. Because even a lot of like tech companies like Facebook and Google and whatnot told their people, you don't have to worry about ever coming back in certain instances to the office. And then we know that saves corporations like this a lot of money if they don't even have to continuously own these commercial buildings. I've said that 1,000 times. So let's just be realistic on that one. Okay. But that is the key. If your bottom line is not being affected, if morale has gone up, then why the heck does the workforce need to come back to the office? Okay. Like because the paragraph started off with, we've gone through the looking glass with the fears of letting people work from home. Excuse me, because this is remote working isn't anything new. It just intensified during the pandemic. Most people know that. Okay. So because this was forced upon people, it shows that it actually worked with the right methods and with the right people. And that's why I'm bringing this topic up, because that my mindset is this: if you're a manager, that means you got the wrong staff. Because if you had a lot of people like to micromanage, but I don't know why any adult would want to ever do that to anybody else. I'm just being, full transparency on that one. I've managed people before. I never had the mindset of wanting to babysit adults, because I had to tell people that was on my team before, previous jobs I had. I'm like, if this is going to be a thing, then maybe you're not cut out to be on this team, because I actually have work to do. Okay. I don't have children, and I'm not going to babysit a 45 or 50-year-old adult. That's not going to work for me. And that's why I'm not really management material, because I'm going to be honest about it. That's just what it is. I'm not in the babysitting business of adults. I can't do it. I refuse. But anyways, and it's like I said, I get it. For certain people, they're like, they miss the old ways. A lot of people actually miss still going to the office. I'm not mad at that. Okay. But, me personally, and most people I know, they love working from home. They love that convenience. They love being able to sleep in more. They love not having to rush to get to a highway so they can get to the building and things. They love the fact that they was able to save a lot of gas money wear and tear in their vehicle, you know. And the article really says this as well. 55-year-old says he's surprised that sometimes younger professionals are less amenable to remote work than their age might suggest. There are younger lawyers who even to this day are butts in the seats kind of guys. And you like, dude, why? Who cares? That said, Mr. Allenby notes, it's important to be proactive about integrating and mentoring new hires in person. It's our job to make them comfortable. And like I said, there's certain people in my age range and whatnot, are younger than me, that they actually want to work in a building, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like I said, I don't knock it. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But I know the majority of society, if they had it their way, they'd be working from home. They love the convenience. Heck, I never thought I'd even have that pleasure. Like 5 years ago, I remember hearing people being able to do that, but it's just because they had like a medical issue or something to that effect. They had to put in a special request, and they had to go through a lot of heartfelt and things of that nature just to be able to get it approved, depending on no matter where you work at. But like I said, I get how aggravating it could be for a lot of to have to chase somebody down. My mindset is if you got to chase your people down, then you got the wrong people on your team. Can't put it any other way. I know I got to be aggravated, but that means you're babysitting, because that means these people are set to work these specific hours. So if they're not answering their phone, they're not texting back, they're not emailing back, they're not. I'm sure like every organization nowadays has an instant messaging. If they're not responding back in a timely manner, then that lets me know that you got the wrong people on your team. And it's time to GO. That's all I got to say. It's time to GO. All right. Now, went into depth on young lady named Lori Smith supports greater flexibility for employees, but said one downside of remote work was having to always chase select team members down. Like I said, get rid of them, Mrs. Lori Smith. She stated she's managing 40 assistants to financial advertisers at a bank in Atlanta, Georgia. Most of her team performed well during the past year and were great about staying in touch with her, but the few who were not actually exhausted her and whatnot. And then it goes, if you wanted to be a manager, I know 40 people, that's a lot. My mindset is this: okay, 40 people, have a conversation with the people that are not falling in line with the way things have to be. And it's the state of Georgia. It's a right to work state. So if that's the case, then, let them go and you can replace them, especially nowadays, especially if the money's right. The labor shortage is mostly in areas of construction and blue collar and things of that nature, especially a lot of blue collar workers just rather go out and work on their own and get their own contracts. She stated, I will call a person during business hours, expecting them to answer the phone and might not get a call back for several hours. Me, that's unacceptable. Several hours. Like one time my boss called me and he got a call back within 5 minutes. So, it wasn't even, and the instance was I didn't answer the phone because I was in the restroom. I was like, hey, sorry, I missed your call. I was in the restroom. He's like, oh, yeah, no problem. I need to do X, Y, Z. Okay, great. And that's what it is. That's unacceptable if your people are calling you back several hours later. That lets me know you need to get rid of certain people. Maybe I don't want nobody to lose their job. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, okay. But I know it's not easy being a manager, especially in today's remote working world. And it's still a new thing. I know it's been quote unquote a year, over a year now, but it's still a new thing. And it's still and then remember at the end of the day, like anything that is new, there's always kinks that need to be worked out. Okay. Let's just be realistic about this. There's always kinks that need to be worked out. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's a business. I don't care if it's a relationship. Nothing's going to be 100% accurate, and it just takes a while for people to get their edge. For a lot of people, they've been so successful because they were ready for this, because a lot of people just do everything from their house, but the article did say the one downside is it's actually more work for the manager. Dennis Meyer, a freelance television producer in Los Angeles who worked line production, who line produces and manages budgets for shows like the Grammy Awards, sees value in working from home, especially when the specific task doesn't require someone to be on site. but having everyone work from home on some days as a matter of course can mean he ends up doing things he normally delegate. He said, "You're always weighing. It's isn't it just faster if I do it myself?" I mean, in certain instances, I can understand that. Nothing is faster or more practical than just looking across the room and talking to someone with your voice. And it's like I said, in those instances, I get that. He said, the instance you have to pick up a phone or write a message, you're wasting valuable time. That's especially true for him when the airing or taping of a show nears and he has to make a lot of decisions and changes. You want someone nearby, he said. And it's like I said, in those instances, I can definitely understand because certain jobs you can't really have too much of a remote working atmosphere because especially if you're working on a production set and things of that nature, it's like, yeah, you need somebody on site. But with that being said, I just think it's because I remember seeing award shows actually done in Los Angeles, and it was all done remotely. I remember the joke from the guy from the movie Get Out. I forgot his name. I think it's Daniel Koule. Yeah. If I butchered your name, sorry about that. But yeah, I remember they were utilizing Zoom and his audio went out. And, it's just, like I said, the kinks are being worked out. Was it right? Absolutely not. Is it easier on everybody? Absolutely not. But, everything's a work in progress. I just have to put it like that. Everything is a work in progress. And, you want to make things as easy as possible for people, but everything is a work in progress. That's just what it is. But anyways, one aspect, you can be just as productive working from home. It just depends on the company and the working atmosphere and whatnot, and how people gauge in their hours, things of that nature. And then another aspect of the article stated misses getting in a conference room together. Tracy Smuckner runs her team of 11 software developers and test engineers for a utility industry service provider in Syracuse, New York. They worked on site full time before the pandemic and have been all remote ever since. But she's currently polling team members to see which 3 days a week they want to work from home starting in mid-July, because a lot of we're in a point now where a lot of people are returning back to work, but most people are doing half in, half out. And their experience as an all remote team was mostly successful. But she stated that she felt that it was harder to onboard the 3 or 4 new employees she hired during the pandemic and to develop junior staff members. Plus, she added on group calls, it was harder to see who wanted to talk. So usually half the group remained silent or whatnot. And the thing is, it's like if somebody wants to talk, I mean, it just depends on, and I think in that instance, I would have utilized, instead of a group call, I would have utilized something like Zoom there's so many various versions of a Zoom, because they have the option where it says you can use a hand up and whatnot, or if somebody could put their hand down, instead of having an actual conference call, because a lot of times when you have that, either the hand up feature or somebody saying something in the chat room, that cuts down the audio noise that's going on, instead of you having 10 to 15 to 40 people trying to talk all at the same time. That's just my personal opinion on that one. But I get that, especially if a person starting a new job, they need that face-to-face management experience. Sometimes certain instances, because I think we've been living in a world where a lot of people have started a job. It hasn't been uncommon for people to start a new job from home and just learn the ropes from there, and just learn having a video call with their supervisor or their trainer as they're the trainee, and just being able to go back and forth like that. It isn't new. It's just new, the fact that it's quadrupled and whatnot. And it's just new and it's new to everybody else now. I mean, it's new to the society as a whole, so it's just, I just think it's an adjustment period. And in my personal opinion, I think by 2022, I think that people are going to just be used to this world of remote working, one, and then two, managers are going to just have to get used to utilizing technology in a sense that works for them. Everybody has to gauge in a specific way, because like I said, with it being so new, you have a lot of managers that were very used to doing things a specific way from a face-to-face standpoint. I mean, heck, you still got managers that leave sticky notes. There's nothing wrong with that, but we got the technology nowadays. You know what I mean? But it's just, and then the thing is, my last point before I get off tonight, The article stated just as productive working from home. Renee Cortez manages a sales and support team of about a dozen people for a medical device maker. She stated that her own work from home experience this past year has been enlightening. Um, she used to fear that people would assume she wasn't as productive working remotely, but discovered that was unfounded. Stated, I'm just as productive as before and saved a lot of time of commuter time that I can use to support my customers and reps. And that's another thing, like I said, the fact that, because most for middle class and upper class working people, most of their commutes, majority of the time is usually between 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. So if you cut all that time out, a person's in the comfort of their own home. They got people have made their own setup so that they could be comfortable working and whatnot. They would had an opportunity to be way more productive and way more effective. It's like I said, in most instances, most offices, morale's gone up because they're not working together. And let's deal with the elephant in the room. Most offices have all their freaking nonsense drama of gossiping, going back and forth, and who said what, who did that, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times people end up wasting so much time gossiping that they don't actually get the work done that needs to get done. Okay, if we're going to be real about it. And a lot of that got cut out because of the pandemic, because it's like, hey, let's focus on the work. That's what matters the most. Let's focus on the work. Let's not focus on the nonsense. Okay, and that's what became way more important throughout this pandemic. And that's one thing I could just say I respect with all sincerity. It's like a lot of people just got rid of, hey, I got things to do. I don't have time for this chit chat. Who said what? Okay, I didn't get the promotion. Let's move forward. Because that's one thing that a lot of people miss, being able to just gossip and gossip and gossip and gossip and gossip and waste time when instead of just actually doing their freaking job. Because for a lot of people, unfortunately, having a job that's the cat's meow, as they say. They have nothing else going on outside of their job. I've ran into these kind of people, and it's pretty sad. Nothing wrong with being passionate about your job. There's nothing wrong with loving your job, but you got to be passionate about your life and the people that are around you. You know what I mean? But that's all I got. All I could say is to the people that are creating businesses and side hustles, keep making your money moves. To the people that got their stimulus checks and got their unemployment and saved and invested, paid off debt, all that good stuff. Keep doing what you're doing. Because there's so many ways that one can be a go-getter. So that's why I got to give love and respect to the people that just did what they had to do, whether they were still working, whether they weren't working, that made the smart moves. So the people that took equity lines of credit out of their house and started buying up real estate or started a business or paid down debt with that, more power to you. People that made the moves during this pandemic. That's who, on all levels, that's who I got the love and respect for on any specific level. People that made the moves, the people that took advantage of the forbearance programs, people that took advantage of not having to pay student loan debts. That's nothing but that's love and respect. Okay, that's love and respect. And that's my personal opinion. That's what it's all about. Being able to get it done, get it in, and not just make basic moves and whatnot and veg out over Netflix and things of that nature and Hulu and Amazon Prime and whatnot. There's always time to have some fun. There's always time to do this stuff later. However, this last year that went by, there's still people that made a significant amount of money and their income went up, their savings went up, their investments went up because they were able to just make that move and not just be basic on all levels. So for my working people, to my rich people, to everybody that made moves, let me know how you did it. Give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff, because that at the end of the day is what matters. Okay, people that did it, people that and people that weren't worried about being judged and all that other nonsense, because they're like, hey, we got things to do. All right. So on that note, family, do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. Make money moves, or you're gonna live broke like a fool, family. That's all I got to say. And I'm out.